Something very odd is going on between the US and Iran. There's a number of weird contradictions and oddities about what's happening, though there is, I suppose, one explanation. As people have probably seen from reports, there's two carrier battle groups, perhaps 30 plus ships, scores of attack aircraft that have been assembled in the Gulf. It's said that the force is as big as that which was assembled before the Gulf War in the early 1990s. What it's there for is not at all clear. Trump has mentioned a couple of possibilities. Of course, during the uprising against the regime a month or so ago, he said famously, help is on the way. But now the Americans and Trump seem to be talking about something much less ambitious, which is limiting Iran's nuclear program. If it is about Iran's nuclear program, this is rather odd because 6 months ago, the US bombed Iran's nuclear program, and Trump, for instance, said that they had completely obliterated it. And Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, said that the attacks had devastated the Iranian nuclear program and showed that Iran cannot have a nuclear capability. Now the tune seems to be rather different, and indeed Witkoff and Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, are now negotiating for something rather less, that Iran would continue its nuclear program, but at a limited level of enrichment, perhaps 5% uranium enrichment, which in fact is higher than the limit allowed for in the agreement, the 2015 agreement agreed by the Obama administration, which limited enrichment to 3.5%. So to say it's unambitious is putting it mildly, though we don't know what provisions the Americans are demanding in terms of inspections and other restrictions on the program. In addition, there is talk that the Americans may demand limits on Iran's ballistic missile capabilities, though Iran has said that is absolutely not on the table, which is perhaps understandable given that the ballistic missiles are their only means of retaliation against Israeli or indeed American attack. Could this military armada be about regime change? It's, I'm afraid, not very plausible. Iran is a country that is 3 times the size of France. It's got a population of more than 90 million people. The regime, of course, has had months to prepare against a possible American military assault, which has been flagged for a long time now. And the Iranians, thanks to the attacks in June, are also well aware of what capabilities the Americans have to hit well-protected sites. In other words, they don't have the capability fully to destroy well-protected nuclear sites. Perhaps the Americans think that an attack would trigger an uprising. But the trouble with that theory is that the Iranians have already shown that they're willing to use absolutely brutal, unlimited force against protesters. It's now clear that perhaps 40,000 or more people were killed by the regime during the recent protests, an appalling and horrific number. And it's not even clear that that's the whole total, as reports are now emerging, for instance, from medical staff of what they witnessed. So none of this really makes sense, except for one factor, of course, which is Donald Trump, what is in his head. And nobody really knows, including perhaps Donald Trump himself. And this is yet another instance where we're in the bizarre and dangerous world of Trump geopolitics, where it is entirely up to him whether to launch a massive military assault, what objectives that assault may have. And of course, the one thing that's not up to him is what the consequences of that assault will be, because the one thing we know from military attacks is the consequences are unpredictable. This is the dangerous, scary, and highly risky world that we're now in.